One of the things that is beautiful about our city is that we are the city of St. Francis. We are a city that stands for compassion. Is that right? We are a city that stands for folks who don't have what others have. We are a city that stands for universal health care. And we have been proudly a city that stands for medical marijuana. And I want to tell you how proud I am to preside over a Board of Supervisors where a majority of my colleagues stands with this community who is here with us today. Now, I also want to say, as an attorney, I am a little disappointed in other attorneys here in the United States. The state of California has said that cannabis is medicine. San Francisco has said that we need to provide our patients with compassionate care. And yet somehow there are these confused attorneys in Washington, D.C. There's some confused attorneys in the federal prosecutor building around the corner. There are some confused attorneys in the White House who need to hear the message that we are standing together for health care, we are standing together for our sick, we are standing for our disabled, we are standing for our seniors, and we are standing on the right side of history on this issue. And so I want to thank all of you for coming together. My colleague Supervisor Alagi did say it right, that those of us who are your elected officials, we are making phone calls to the Department of Public Health. We are speaking to other elected officials. We are speaking to our counterparts of the federal government, but we can't do this alone. We need all of us to stand together from every community, representing the full diversity, not just of our city, but of our country. And I do hope that within a few short years, everyone in the United States will understand what it is we're fighting for, and that we'll be fighting together for our health care. Thank you for being here today.
You know what I'm going to say. Let's hear it for David. Now we also have with us today Board of Supervisor Scott Wiener.
Thank you. You know, I represent District 8, which includes the Castro. I have the largest number of people living with HIV in this city and one of the highest concentrations in the country. So this is personal for me and for my constituents. And let me tell you, a few months ago, you know, our federal government has a real problem. A few months ago, we learned that we're going to have a $7 million cut to our HIV funding from the federal government next year. $7 million. And at the same time, they're forcing us to try to scramble to find a way to keep our safety net for people living with the disease. They're now telling us that people living with HIV in San Francisco can't even have access to their medicine. That is not acceptable. We're going to keep fighting it. This President Obama, told us that if a state allowed medical cannabis, the federal government was going to be fine with that. And to turn around and do this is just not okay. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep standing with you. Thank you.
Scott Wiener, everyone. Now, putting something together like this is a lot of work. And there were a few people here in San Francisco that really went the extra mile to put today's events together. And so I just want to do a little shout out for Stephanie Tucker, Tony Bowles right over there, and Sarah Schrader. So thank you all so much. And now it is my honor to introduce City Attorney Dennis Herrera.
Accepting the award for City Attorney Dennis Herrera. I'm Communications Director Matt Dorsey. I work for Dennis Herrera, and he asked me to come. He couldn't make it here today, but he asked me to say a few words. But actually, I want to say something personal also, because Michael Goldstein's name came up. Supervisor Campos mentioned him, and I just want to say I had the honor of being appointed to the Democratic County Central Committee to replace Michael Goldstein. Like Michael, I'm a gay man. Like Michael, I'm HIV positive. Like Michael, I care about this issue and it's personal. So thank you all for being here. But the city attorney asked me to attend this rally to express on behalf of the entire city attorney's office two things. One, our support for compassionate use of medical cannabis, and two, our opposition to the heavy-handedness with which federal authorities are trying to roll back decades of progress on this issue. San Francisco first voted in favor of medical cannabis in 1991. It was an election for Proposition P. It was an 80% yes vote. Fully 4 in 5 San Franciscans urged California to add medical cannabis to the list of available medicines. 5 years later, Californians passed Prop 215 by a 1 million vote margin. The Compassionate Use Act emerged from San Francisco's response to the AIDS crisis, and it allowed patients with a doctor's recommendation to use medical marijuana for what it is: a safe and effective treatment for pain, for nausea, for AIDS wasting syndrome, for glaucoma, for a host of other conditions for which no humane treatment would ever deny marijuana to provide relief. In 2005, our Board of Supervisors and our mayor worked together to establish a model system to regulate and permit medical cannabis dispensaries here in San Francisco, and that has served our patients and our residents well for years now. And right now, before the California, in addition to overzealous U.S. attorneys, before the California Supreme Court over there, there's another threat. It's a case called Pack versus City of Long Beach, and it could endanger the ability of local governments like ours to offer any regulation. And I'm proud to say that City Attorney Dennis Herrera and his office are working with advocates like you and like-minded cities and counties across the state on our amicus brief, and we're going to do before the highest court in this state exactly what we're here to do today: to defend San Francisco's model system of safe access and to fulfill the promise of California's Compassionate Use Act for all people who need it. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Sorry about trying to get you a raise there. And now we're going to hear from not Tom Amiano, but Quentin from Tom Amiano's office. Quentin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Quentin Mecchi from Assemblymember Tom Amiano's office. He regrets that he could not be here today. As you know, my boss is never one to be lost for words, so asked me to express a few thoughts today regarding what has been happening. Following up on Supervisor Campos's comments regarding San Francisco being a sanctuary city, it's beyond a sanctuary city. California is a sanctuary state. Let's all be very clear about what's at stake. California law is at stake. Proposition 215 passed in 1996. They said it couldn't be done, and it was. 15 years later, we're joined by 15 other states, including the District of Columbia, with medical marijuana laws. This is not just California. This is not just San Francisco. This is a national issue. We met with U.S. Attorney Melinda Haig in December to discuss what was happening with this federal crackdown. And it was clear at that time she did not appreciate the history, she did not understand the issue, and she did not know what she was getting into. So I think about what happened yesterday to Richard Lee and Oaksterdam. And we need to remember there is a phrase from 2010. I'm trying to remember it, but it comes to mind of yes, we cannabis. So while they might have sent masked federal agents into Richard Lee's Oaksterdam yesterday, hearkening images of Mexico for some reason, it's time to actually take a stand up for what we know is right, which is medical cannabis for those in need, medical cannabis for HIV patients, for cancer patients, and for those who need access to this medicine across California. On Tuesday, next Tuesday, April 10th, in Sacramento will be the first hearing for our bill AB 2312, the Medical Marijuana Regulation and Control Act. We need each and every one of you to stand up and tell the legislature to make this happen. It's time to defend medical cannabis in California. It's time to actually stand up and show the federal government what's right, not only in California, but across this country. President Obama, enough is enough. Let's stand with medical cannabis. Thank you.
Amiano has always been a great leader for us, and we're very honored that he has introduced AB 2312. And it is up to us to meet with our legislators and help Tom pass that legislation. So in May, the weekend of May 19th, 20th, and 21st, we're having a conference in Sacramento. The 21st will be a lobby day. And how many of you am I going to see there? Awesome. Now we have, to join us today is Supervisor John Avalos.
Good morning. How are y'all doing? Good morning. I'm going to be very brief. I have to run to my district, but I want to stand here in solidarity with the medical cannabis community to make sure that we can uphold our laws that we had approved here in California and in San Francisco. We have to guarantee safe access. Last year in October, I was proud to co-sponsor with Supervisor David Campos a resolution denouncing the federal crackdown on medical cannabis dispensaries here in San Francisco and California. I will do that again, and I want to support this community, and thank you for being here. Thank you very much.
And now we have, speaking on behalf of yet another hero of medical cannabis in San Francisco, from Senator Leno's office, we have Ana Damiano.
Good morning. I have a statement that I'd like to read from Senator Leno, and it reads as follows. I regret that I'm unable to join you today in calling on the federal government to show compassion and cease these cruel actions against patients and caregivers. I urge the federal government to stop its misguided attacks on dispensaries, which continues to have a devastating impact on some of our most vulnerable patients. In a time of scarce resources, federal officials are wasting time and money by preventing patients from safely accessing their medication. Our federal dollars would be better spent on activities and programs that save jobs, put food on the table, and house the homeless. Instead, this ill-conceived offensive is having a detrimental impact on our state's economy by forcing more Californians into unemployment. I urge the United States Justice Department to put its limited resources where they are most needed, serving justice. And immediately end its destructive attack on medical cannabis patients. In closing, I have one question for all of you. ¿Se puede? ¡Sí se puede! ¿Se puede? ¡Sí se puede! Thank you very much.
And now, from Representative Betty Yee's office, Alan LaFazio.
I came all the way down from Sacramento just for this event. Board of Equalization member Betty Yee, who represents you on the state's Board of Equalization, which administered state's taxes, wasn't able to be here today, but she wanted me to say a few words. I'm wearing this name tag that says that I represent Betty Yee, but it also says that I represent patients and that I represent the voters of the state of California. Patients who need medical cannabis and voters who have said yes to medical cannabis. The message to those over there 2 blocks away is simple. Federal government, back off.